Um, we have with us Paul Tatro. He's a founder of Blockchain U online. I reckon that's Blockchain University.
Yeah, the U is short for university, yes.
Great. Please tell us what you do in...
Well, I been involved in the blockchain world for the last few years. I, in the course of kind of studying up on it, I decided to develop training materials. I did professional seminars for 15 years on various technology subjects, everything from databases, programming language, things like that. When I put together my synopsis of what is blockchain, I sat with some people that I know very well in the industry who are experts and written about things and so on. The reaction was very positive, and they said, "Look, this is the best explanation of blockchain I ever heard." So I got a little bit inspired and decided to put together a 10-module certification course. I'm a blockchain professional, and so the way the course works is you have 10 modules. Each module has a 100-point test at the end of it. In order to progress to the next module, you have to pass the test. Once you pass all 10 modules, then there's a 300-point certification exam, and if you pass that, then you become a certified blockchain professional. We cover about 65 different subjects in and around blockchain. So it's a very broad understanding of a lot of things around blockchain. So we've had 3 people get certified so far. I've probably got another 20 people that are in the process of taking the course. And of course, I hope for a lot more people to decide they want to expand the scope of what they know about blockchain. And I think most importantly, somebody like yourself, who's trying to figure out all this crypto stuff, and to have an understanding of how, for example, various consensus methods actually work, and how they are put together. It makes reading an article when somebody says, "Well, we use delegated proof of stake." Well, what does that mean? Right? And what's the advantage of that? Those are the types of things that we cover. Also in the training materials, it's very graphically oriented. So in other words, I have probably 150 diagrams. So instead of just throwing bullet points at you, death by bullet point is kind of my pet peeve when it comes to presentations. I try to challenge myself when I wrote the materials. I challenged myself to, how can I make a picture out of this? How can I visualize what these guys are saying in this white paper that I've now read 15 times, right? And so I think there's an element in the training materials of being very visual, and of course, and just you'll be the first person I've actually mentioned this to in a public forum. But I've also got a book that's going to be released on Amazon at the end of this month called Blockchain Unchained. The illustrated guide, over 100 diagrams in that book. It's modeled pretty closely to the class, but gives you another way that you can, some people like to read, some people like to, be presented to. So it gives you a couple different options on how you can soak up more about blockchain.
That's very interesting. And so back to the blockchain training program, Blockchain University. That's available where?
You can go to our website, which is blockchainu.online, and there's a register button there. You can register for the course. I'm currently offering a $300 instant scholarship. So the course is normally $499. I'm offering it for $199 for a limited period of time. So for $199, you can get through the 10 different modules and get through the certification. So it's all hosted on a learning management system platform. So the interface is very friendly. You can work off your iPad, your iPhone, your laptop, whatever's convenient for you, and it's totally self-paced. You can take the tests over and over again. So far, no one has passed all the tests on the first try. So you do have to kind of study your notes and things like that, I think, if you're going to do well in the testing. But, very comprehensive, 65 different topics. I estimate it would save you a year of research on your own if you get through the class.
What are the topics that are covered broadly?
Well, there's 65 topics. So, I mean, if you go to our website, you can see a list of all the topics. But just off the top of my head, we talk about what is blockchain, advantages of blockchain. We talk about how a blockchain works. So why is a blockchain immutable? We go through some scenarios there. I have one slide in that section that has over 300 animations in one slide, just to show you how blockchain works, and it moves and changes colors, and it's very visual in terms of showing you the immutability aspect, or the resistance to immutability of blockchain. We also talk about how you are identified inside of a blockchain. So all of the public, private keys, the addresses where stuff gets sent. So I want to swap Bitcoin with you. How does that? Where does that address come from? That you end up sending transactions to. So we uncover some of the mystique around those types of things. We also talk about smart contracts. We talk about the 3 different types of oracles that smart contracts can use. We show you how smart contracts get initiated, how it gets triggered. It's not a programming class, so I want to be clear about that. It's a concept-oriented class, and I recommend it for anybody who's interested in blockchain. Some of the other things that we cover, I think it's 15 different consensus methods. So we literally do a kind of an introduction to maybe some terminology that's used by a certain consensus method, and then we do a process flow. So how does this consensus method work? What triggers it? What are the steps involved in going through the consensus process? And then you can get, a picture of how all this stuff really works. So we cover that. We also talk about the different, one of the sections, module 9, is around the different, kind of the leading blockchains that are out there. So Ethereum, Bitcoin, we talk about Ripple, Cardano. What are some of the other things? EOS as a kind of an up and coming blockchain. And so we talk about those, we position and contrast those inside of the market. We also go through some sample use cases for blockchain. And it's kind of interesting, I think, the way that we do it, because we show you an application flow with, again, a visual. Show you an application flow without a blockchain. And then we say, okay, if you introduce a blockchain into this type of application, start to see things disappear off the screen. I don't need this anymore. I don't need this. I substitute these things. And again, very visual on how a blockchain impacts. I think there's 6 different application scenarios. And then we talk about some of the challenges that blockchain has, the evaluation criteria for, do I really need a blockchain? What are some of the questions you need to ask and answer? So again, very comprehensive kind of subject matter.
Very interesting. And so obviously you don't tackle the programming side of things. This is purely conceptual.
Right. So I'm looking right now. Well, probably the next course I develop will be in probably developing smart contracts. I'm just trying to decide whether it's Solidity or some, maybe an EOS or Neo or Cardano. But I haven't made that decision yet. But I'm just researching at the moment.
Okay, perfect. And so, in terms of the design of the course, that's a one-man effort, or there was a team behind it, or?
It was me, myself, and I. So
okay, very good.
All those people involved. Yeah, and I've developed in my career, I've developed probably 6 or 7 different curriculums.
Okay.
Blank piece of paper. Here's 3 levels of DB2, or how to become a database administrator, or how to write PL1 programming code, all that kind of stuff. CICS. Okay.
So that's your kind of background, because the environment as you see it right now, there is very little. The skill set is really lacking, and I think the training is going to be a major component of this.
I couldn't agree more, and that's why I'm trying to, and I'll just throw this out to you. You're obviously studying a little bit of the blockchain environment, but I'm looking at something like Solidity and Ethereum, and I'm thinking that maybe, even though it's huge right now, and everybody's building their blockchain on Ethereum. 85% of the market's built on Ethereum. But when the real heavy-duty enterprise level applications hit, are they really going to use Ethereum? Or is something like EOS or Cardano the choice for building those applications? So maybe for me, it's smarter to kind of build something that takes you and makes you a certified programmer on a EOS or Cardano environment.
Absolutely.
So
totally.
That's kind of where I'm kind of wavering a little bit, and I'm also planning to have discussions with those companies to obviously it would help me to have access to experts. And one of the knacks that I have in terms of this whole like training development and stuff, and again, I encourage you to take the class. You can see my style; it's very unique, and the way I do PowerPoint is very unique. And I use some techniques that are actually proven through university studies. DePaul University published some studies on different techniques you can use in your presentations to make them more memorable. So I'm interested to talk to some of these companies and see if they might not even sponsor some of the development of the curriculum, because it does take a while to do it, especially the way I do it.
Absolutely, and I think that I think they will be interested. I think there is a demand for it now. Something that's I mean, I talk to a lot of them every day. A lot of the kind of industry leaders today, and they basically they're saying that today they need to get as many people as possible to develop stuff on the infrastructure they're building, because they're building infrastructure after all. And then after that, so a lot of people, I think, would ask this question: is that what is the minimum requirement? Let's say, I think that EOS, for example, Cardano are going to be major industry players when we have like major scale kind of applications. Obviously, Ethereum is good enough today for ICOs and stuff like that, but I think that's about it.
A lot of scaling issues, and the fact that the Ether is getting more expensive, I think, challenges the cost now of running smart contracts and things on Ethereum.
Oh no, totally. Yeah.
It's just getting more costly. It's kind of a similar thing that's happening to Bitcoin, but
yeah, absolutely. The thing I wanted to ask you is, what is the minimum? If you as a course designer, what would be a lot of entrepreneurs today? They want to partner with guys that understand blockchain, for example, to develop a project. And one of their concerns would be, well, okay, obviously no one is expert in blockchain, and so I need to have prerequisites for people that will develop eventually a blockchain platform. What would be those prerequisites they would be looking for?
Well, so if I understand your question correctly, what would be the prerequisites to be a developer in blockchain, or somebody to make a decision about blockchain?
Pardon me?
Or is it for somebody to be able to make a decision about blockchain? Because those are two different things, right? One is not as technical. So, for example, if I was a C-level person, there's a number of things that we cover in our certification class that they should understand in order to be in a position to make a decision. The other thing that if you're looking at a programmer side, they certainly need to understand probably JavaScript, especially if they're going to do any kind of web interface. You need to have some kind of JSON interface for your web connectivity. and then whatever the language is. So Solidity is very similar to JavaScript. I haven't looked at uh, what the language or the interface is on the EOS and Cardano yet. I just started researching the blockchains themselves.
Mhm.
But so, I mean, those would be the, and of course, you have to have an understanding of how, transfers are made, addressing, things like that, identities, keys, uh, and the like. So, um, probably some introduction to cryptography, at least
Mhm.
from a standpoint, since there's so much hashing that goes on inside of the blockchain for various reasons. So those would be some of the basic elements I think that somebody should understand in order to be able to start effectively, even to take a class. I mean, to take a class to understand the coding aspect of it.
Totally. Um, yes. So because a lot of entrepreneurs that I meet, etc., they have these kind of concerns that they want to form a team, but they don't know what's the prerequisites that should be looking for, especially a team of developers, especially developers. So there is a huge inflation today with blockchain developers, but a lot of I had few experiences, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the inflation. Okay, that's interesting. So your next more developer class is coming up when? So people obviously can go to your website. Can you remind us of your website again?
I'm sorry.
Can you remind us of your website for registering to the
Oh,
class?
sure. It's blockchainu.online.
Okay, and that's your current available class
Yes.
course, and there would be, and you're
I'm sorry.
working on a book also.
Yeah, the book I finished, so I'm just
Finished.
waiting for the. I've had the editors go through it. I've got the covers designed. I'm just waiting for the final copy to be to come through.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I wrote the book, I wrote it in a 8.5 by 11 format, and the
Mm-hmm.
books are like 7 by 10. The hardcover size. So they have to reformat some of the things, and I have 104 diagrams in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to replace all those and all that kind of stuff. So it's taken a little longer than we thought. I was hoping to have the book out by now, but it'll be available on Amazon, I hope, before the end of this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's perfect. We'll definitely share your links and your book links, etc., in our comment section, and also we'll be very happy to communicate your contact details to anyone that
Sure.
would request them. Thank you very much for your time. Thank
Yeah,
you very
my
much.
pleasure. Ciao.
Bye bye.